There's two walls. Between those two walls lies everything ever to be found on this planet. And just look at the first wall. It's Genesis 8:18. And this is kind of like a retaining wall if you have slippage. And Genesis 8:18 says this: So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every animal, every creeping thing, every bird, whatever creeps on the earth, and their families went out of the ark. So what that means is nothing that is alive on the planet today was not descended from something that came off the ark. You understand that? I'm talking about land animals that breathe air. Now, of course, I'm sure there were some fish that weren't on the ark and survived the tumult of the flood. The other part is in verse 19 of chapter 9. And it says this, and we're going to see this in future time. Genesis 9:19, these three, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, these three were the sons of Noah, and look at this, and from these the whole earth was populated. Now that gets even more interesting, because all over we find evidence. I mean, the fella in Austria in the glacier or Switzerland, wherever he was, that was caught out and he snowed and got frozen and mummified and all that, and now these cave writings in France and all over the world, actually, that show humans and these big creatures fighting and all this. Everything on the surface of the earth, everything on the surface of the earth has come about since the flood. The flood destroyed everything on the surface of the earth. Every person, every building, every plant, it just uprooted. There are no stands of trees that predate the flood. I mean, the whole world was transformed. And so those are just two parts of the shelf system. Now, before the Genesis 8:18 piece, we know that everything came about at the moment of creation, everything other than God. Because God existed before that, and then He created everything. Everything that was created, and we know about that. And then we know everything was destroyed in the physical world except for Noah and his family and the animals in the ark and the marine animals that survived the flood. And then all the civilizations of the earth, all the cultures, all the people, all the languages, all the ancient histories of anything that is on this earth, from Genesis 9:19, all the earth was populated from the three sons of Noah. So those are important to think about, because all over the world, paleontological research digs are turning up more and more fragments of bones and teeth and skulls and primitive tools. And once unearthed, fantastic claims start rolling around. They say they found a bridge species or the missing link or a new example of someone's theories are instantly trumpeted by way of the internet to news providers globally. And as soon as they find stuff, I mean, something was found in March, April of this year in a limestone quarry in China, outside Shanghai. They found 2 pieces of bone the size of a grain of rice. I'll tell you about those in just a minute. It's fascinating what happens. But in the wake of this archaeological and paleontological research comes these seasoned science fiction-soaked illustrators. I mean, they've been reading comic books all their life. And these young guys come, and they start illustrating these rice grain size fragments that they find. And, I mean, the news magazines and the book publishers are delighted, and the museum curators, because these illustrations immediately are spun into these thick-boned, protruding, four-headed, ape-like creatures, and thus we're introduced to the cavemen. The cavemen are part of a world that's largely imaginative, and it's the product of the spinners of evolutionary thought.